Welcome back, everybody. We are on part 2. It's time for the hot tags of the week. Some different news, rumors, stories, or everything else that we felt like talking about. Not much going on this week, so I kind of picked up the bottom of the barrel when it came to some of these things, but that happens, you know. I'm sure later on, after we do this, there's going to be some kind of massive break in storyline or something like that, and we'll be like, oh, god damn it, and maybe we'll do a small package if that's the case, I don't know. Or maybe we'll get lucky and nothing will happen until next week, but for now, a couple things to talk about. Number 1, Fabulous Freebirds are going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame class of 2016. Took long enough, didn't it? Shit.
Yeah. It was clearly a team that should have gone in. Now, personally, I don't have many memories of them. They were before my time, but as far as their run goes, it's historic people, and more so than doing something which people remember, they established a lot of things which people now use. I mean, they were one of the first tag teams that were using music on a regular basis. They were using a lot of the flamboyant stuff, which became more popular. So they were trendsetters as more than they were, like, moment makers.
And we got the Freebird rule from them now, so
yeah,
like the New Day kind of owe that to them.
That's a good point. That's another thing that sticks out today. So definitely people that should have been in a while ago. I'm glad that they're getting the run. And I hope X-Pac makes the induction.
Who was it you want to do the induction?
X-Pac.
Why X-Pac?
Because when he was on the plane flight from hell, he chopped off Michael Hayes' ponytail and glued it to the wall at their tapings the next day, and apparently Michael Hayes flipped his shit.
I would totally be up for seeing this then. I don't think they've said who are going to be inducting him, but it's kind of like, you got to assume it's got to be somebody from back in that time. So, I don't know. It'd be a little weird if it was like, and here to induct the Fabulous Freebirds, Neville.
Oh, they could do the New Day.
Yeah, if they can't figure out anybody else, New Day could do that, yeah.
Well, they could pick someone that actually had a relationship, but fuck that.
Nah. They're probably all dead.
What's a relationship?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know who really would have ties to Doc Hendricks after all these years. So, I don't know. Either way, it makes sense for them to go in. And being in this environment for WrestleMania, perfect time for them to go in, too. Makes a lot more sense for them to go in now than, say, I don't know if they went in, like, Toronto or something like that. Let's continue on here. Speaking of WrestleMania, WWE has changed the March to WrestleMania event to Roadblock. So first off, what do you guys think of the name change?
So I'm still kind of sitting on this one, and I'm not sure if I like it or not. It kind of makes sense because, again, it's the first lane to Mania. Oh, it's a roadblock on the way to Mania. It just seems kind of dumb to have another road-associated pay-per-view after you just had Fastlane. Though, with that said, I like the name Roadblock than I do Fastlane.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, see, that's kind of the same boat I'm in. I'm like, well, shit, why couldn't we have Roadblock replace Fastlane and keep March to WrestleMania? Because I like the March to WrestleMania thing. The only problem I could see is if they kept doing that in the future and WrestleMania was in March, kind of wouldn't make any sense. But, I don't know, I mean, we were joking around a couple different places about the idea that, like, there's Roadblock, there's Fastlane. It seems like they really, really want to do that Road to WrestleMania kind of thing like that. And I could see this being one of the few events that they actually carry over into the next year. Like the Beast from the East, they're not going to do that every year. And NXT TakeOver, they change that up all the time, so it's not like, every February or whatever, it's Unstoppable. Or whatever it's Fatal 4-Way. It seems like they're just going to change that all the time, and it seems like that's the case with a lot of the WWE live events. So Roadblock could actually be that one that they keep going, and they're not going to move that to a different point of the year, at the very least. So we might be having Royal Rumble, Fastlane, Roadblock, WrestleMania for a good while now.
I'm in favor if they get rid of Fastlane and keep Roadblock, but I'm actually more in favor of them stopping Fastlane from being a big pay-per-view that's distributed on the television. In fact, just make it a small show, like they're doing with Roadblock, just so it's a network exclusive, because when they have these big pay-per-views that they have to market in between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, they make the mistake of rushing feuds or giving away matches before the actual show, which takes a lot of value away from them. Luckily, we're getting something a bit different here with Triple H and Dean Ambrose. It's kind of weird that it kind of makes sense that Dean's been getting the push that he has now, but it's just stupid because Dean's got way more momentum behind him than Roman does.
Yeah. I'm still pretty interested in it, though. And we're going to be doing our predictions later on and stuff like that. Drew, though, you didn't weigh out on this yet. What do you think about the name change?
I like it. I don't know if I love it necessarily, but I like it. I've never had the same issue everyone else had with Fastlane, though I didn't think it was the greatest name, but I kind of like, it's the Fastlane to WrestleMania. Just something I thought was funny. All right, but
I could see a little, like, if you were younger and you were watching it now, I could see a little tiny tyke of a Drew being like, Fastlane, verb! Just all excited.
So, I mean, I probably would. I'm not going to lie about that.
You probably
so,
do right now.
You got me there. But when it comes just to the name change from the March to WrestleMania to Roadblock, I like the name Roadblock, but I kind of like the March to WrestleMania as well. And also, they've been changing a lot of things up with that pay-per-view, or that network special they're doing with that, from the name change to the way that the logo looks, I guess, to the main event now. So they're changing a lot of things about that. And I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. I think a lot of people, especially because wrestling fans tend to not be the smartest people at times, they might get fucking confused. So I don't know. So I like it, but at the same time, a little skeptic about it.
It is a little weird that they changed up Payback and Extreme Rules, and they changed this around, and we're only a couple weeks away from TakeOver Dallas, and they still don't have a logo up. That's a little weird. Like, the only logo you can find on the internet right now is the one that I made.
I actually find it a little annoying with NXT. They don't really promote those guys online the way they should, and I understand that it's a development company, but still, you'd think they'd promote it a little heavier.
Maybe they are, but it's on this website that you can't find anything.
Like, they really should just have NXT.com, and you could just go there for it.
Yeah, why not? I'm sure they own a domain. At least they should.
Well, I know somebody actually owned the rights for WWE, well, not WWE NXT, but NXT, and they purchased it off them right before they actually released NXT on television. It was about 3 weeks out, and they were still in negotiations, because they hadn't realized.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a good way to just, they own WrestleMania.com. I know that. And that usually, at the very least, in the past, would go straight to whatever the WrestleMania page was, so why not do that? It's SummerSlam.com goes straight to SummerSlam, and Elimination Chamber goes straight to that. You know, they've got the money. They don't need to worry about spending $10 a year for fucking to redirect things, you know? It would be a lot easier. But it seems like they're rehauling a lot of stuff with pay-per-views, so it'll be pretty interesting to see if maybe this continues throughout the year. We might end up getting, something... Now that we're getting Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania, maybe we're not going to get Hell in a Cell later on this year. Because they didn't actually announce a lot of the pay-per-views yet. And it's a little weird. Usually by this time, we know well into Money in the Bank.
I think that we're going to see you can already see it forming, but I think we're going to see a shift in the way these pay-per-views are scheduled out now. As I mentioned before, I want to see these B pay-per-views actually toned down a bit and just make it the exclusive on the network, just so they don't rush so much stuff. And I think that's what you're going to see more of. A lot of these shows like Hell in a Cell, I think they'd be a network exclusive, much like Elimination Chamber was.
I hope so. And shit, if they really want to have some kind of an event later on in this year that's not necessarily Elimination Chamber, but still does a cage thing, bring back No Way Out. Still works for a normal cage. You don't need to make that the Elimination Chamber one.
Cage matches are so redundant at this point now, because they give them away on Raw like free candy. What's the point?
That's true. Unless you get to a point where you really, really think that you should have that kind of a match, but then you can book around it and stuff too. So, I don't know. That'll be pretty interesting to see what ends up happening throughout the year, though. And of course, you guys can always check out the pay-per-view schedule. If any new information comes out, I update that. They actually just released the other day when Night of Champions is happening, so I updated that. Thank you to, I think it was Jaden had sent that in to give me a heads up about that. Let's go back to these hot tags a little bit here. This one's stupid as fuck, but I figured why not just mention it for the hell of it. WWE is going to be doing a new movie. This one is Surf's Up 2, WaveMania. It's an animated movie that's going to have John Cena and Paige and a couple other people. Triple H, I think, is one of them. Animating, doing the voiceover work for the stupid animation shit. Obviously, I expect none of us to watch this, but this is an actual, like, another one of these movies that they picked up where they had a normal movie before, and they're doing the direct-to-video sequel of it. Why this one? I don't know.
I thought the first Surf's Up was actually quite popular. I remember going to see that in the movie theaters when I was like in 6th or 7th grade. That's the thing I'm confused about. Yeah, it's been up for a while.
Surf's Up came out in 2007.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Almost 10 years. So 10 years later, they're like, we can cash in on this.
Yeah, they might be a few years too late on it. It's not like with Finding Dory. It wasn't like one of the biggest films to come out of that year, so.
Curious what the Rotten Tomatoes score is for that.
I bet it's like in the 50s.
It can't be that great.
Are you looking it up right now?
It is a 78 on the Rotten Tomatoes score.
Huh.
Wow, that's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I'm sure the WWE one is going to be far worse than that, if they even bother rating it. Wago, what do you think about the idea of them doing animated films now? Well, they've done it in the past. They did the Scooby-Doo one.
There was one show that they had animated that I like, and it was released online, but it was taken out for some dumb reason, and I don't remember what it was.
Cheap Pop, I think.
I think that's what it was. If they can make something like that, I'm all down for it, but I mean, there's definitely an audience for it. They cater towards children, so I don't have an issue with it. It's just not content that I'm going to watch. Like, I'm never going to condemn WWE for making more content. At the end of the day, they've got a network, and I don't have to watch it.
That's true. I just took a look at another one of the posters. Apparently, 2 other people that are in the movie are Vince McMahon and The Undertaker. There's a goddamn Undertaker penguin.
Dude, that's so rad.
I'm going to send a link to you guys in our Skype chat right now to get your first reactions when it comes to this. Because this is just ridiculous.
You know, I didn't realize they were making a movie out of this. I just thought that they bought the rights. Oh my god.
Alright, I'm just clicking on this, and what the fuck?
I love how his surfboard is just a
There's something up with the beak does not work for him.
What, you don't think that Undertaker's new look at WrestleMania should be this look? Should have a beak?
Well, he should have a beak.
Hair.
He should have that yellow hair type of thing that he has there.
I guess they're trying to make him look menacing compared to the others, but I guess, is that meant to be Triple H? Okay, so the Triple H one looks more terrifying than the Undertaker one. The Undertaker one just makes it look like it's a really big homeless guy that found a bunch of shit in a trash can.
The Vince thing is like a walrus or something?
I'm guessing so.
I hope that they make it walk like Vince. But I'm curious why the John Cena one looks like Guile from Street Fighter. He's got that hair. So either way, tell us what you guys think about Surf's Up in the comments below. We have 2 other things I think that I had written down here. Yeah, okay. Rusev said that he was going to do a body slam challenge on Raw. Didn't happen. Apparently they had some kind of Adam Rose thing and Sheamus or whatever. They mentioned it on commentary, but what do you guys think about the whole like fuckery when it comes to this? Why talk about a segment that you're not going to do and then bring it up on commentary and be like, yeah, we did that, but none of you are going to be able to see it? I don't think that there was anything with WWE.com or anything. Let me double check that just to make sure, but did you guys hear anything about this body slam challenge?
I read a headline. I didn't actually click on it because I was not remotely interested. So the fact that they didn't do it doesn't offend me whatsoever. But the fact that they would reference it online and then bring it up on commentary not to do it just seems kind of dumb. But I don't think anyone is going to give them any backlash or be disappointed because this isn't the 80s and people don't care about body slam challenges anymore.
Yeah, I don't see anything on YouTube. So that's just kind of like weird. I don't know, like why bother bringing it up if you're not going to do it? Or just sweep it under the rug if you decided to change your plans or something. And even
Can I do my joke?
What's that?
I got you guys. I'm not really doing the body slam challenge.
Maybe that's what the whole thing was about. Last thing that I have written down here, A lot of rumors talking about this, and I don't think there's any validity to it whatsoever, but it's worth addressing anyway. A lot of people think that there's going to be a new brand split. Are you guys up for it, or do you think it's a mistake like I do?
I've been hearing people push for this ever since Shane McMahon's been back, and the
Right.
brand split is a terrible idea. So, why did the brand split end? Because there was not enough star power to generate interest on Monday Night Raw. So they bought back Super Raw. Then they realized that SmackDown was becoming redundant. So they just ended the brand split altogether. Now, right now, we have so many goddamn injuries and people are talking about a brand split.
Right.
If you are talking about a brand split right now, you're a fucking idiot.
I'm too close to the mic guy in terms of Jesus.
It's true, though. We have too few people to pull this off. And everything I see online is just people making up a list and going, oh, this is how you can split it 50-50. First off, they didn't do that in the past anyway, so there's no fucking way that they're going to do that now if they did
keep
it.
in mind that new USA Network wants Raw to be 3 hours.
Right. And there wasn't a 3-hour Raw during the brand split. Plus, we had bigger names in the brand split, too. Like, there was a point in time where Monday Night Raw and SmackDown had about the same equal amount of main eventers. Now it's not the case. And you would have to bring back the World Heavyweight Championship to have a championship on SmackDown, which means
They basically
undoing all
have
that.
to undo everything that they did. The reason why the brand split was around initially was because they wanted to create more main event stars. And it was a smart idea. A lot of guys that would not normally get a push got some exposure, got that push, and became a main eventer. But the fact was they weren't really a main eventer. Because as soon as they got brought up onto the Raw, which essentially was the main roster after a certain point, SmackDown became automatically the B show. But yeah, so...
Well, it's the B show.
Alright, so the cat just jumped on my desk. Do not hit the microphone. Okay. I forgot I had the door open.
Your cat's like, fuck you, I went to brand split.
Shit, that totally ruined my train of thought. What was I talking about?
Main roster on Raw, SmackDown being the B show.
So yeah, with the main roster, it's like you can't do that anymore because at the end of the day, these people that were main event guys on SmackDown, they weren't really main event guys. They were just filling the spot of a main event guy. They weren't really world champions. They just had a world title. World championships were making guys. Guys weren't making titles. The brand split worked initially because do you know how many big stars we had initially? A shit ton. You had Hulk Hogan. You had The Rock. Brock Lesnar, Stone Cold, Triple H, Shawn Michaels. The list went on and on and on. We do not have that now. We have a bunch of guys that would be lucky to draw a crowd of 1,000 at an indie event.
I mean, the brand split came about because they bought WCW. So it's like, you took an entire other company and brought them into the fold. So of course you're going to need to have twice as much room. And even though they didn't have some of those people didn't come over all the time and whatever like that, it was like, you know, if you've got, say, like 2 banks, you know, First Union and Wells Fargo, when they merge, they now have twice as many employees, and you got to find spots for them or release them. And WWE was in the same kind of boat, so they made a second brand, and it ended up being a really good idea for a couple of years. But now they can't pull that off, and a lot of people think it's just because Shane McMahon can be in charge, but that doesn't mean that they need to do a brand split. It could just be Shane McMahon has control of Monday Night Raw, Stephanie and company have control of SmackDown, they fuck over people on SmackDown, and Shane does the opposite on Raw.
You just create a power struggle.
Yeah.
A bunch of guys side with Triple H and Stephanie because they're authority people. People that are like, wait, you're a fucking asshole still. They side with Shane McMahon. You don't need a brand split for it to take place. Stop being a bunch of fucktards.
Alrighty, everybody. Those are our hot tags for the week. Leave those comments below. Tell us what you think about all these different topics. And if there's anything else that happens as well, drop that in the comments itself, and we will talk about that in our responses if that ends up being the case. But we're going to take a break with that rest hold that I recorded earlier, so we're not actually doing any kind of a break. Actually, we are technically, because we probably aren't going to record the rest of this until a couple hours from now. So if we suddenly get tired, that's the case. But we will be back after the rest hold with superstar scores for Buff Bagwell and Shane McMahon and the Fantasy League. So stay tuned for parts 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever the case may be.